We are girls, and we're going to talk about girl wrestling.
Hello, welcome to Girl Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the Heartburn Kid, Emily Palmer Heller. Our other host, today she is very much not the mouth of the South, and Victoria Clark has lost her voice, but I will not just be yapping to myself today. We have a delightful guest, McKenzie Mitchell, and I will bring her on now.
Hi. I guess I'll call myself the jewelry girl. How about that? That can be my moniker.
Beautiful.
Jewelry girl McKenzie Mitchell.
Perfect. I think someone should snag that ASAP.
There we go, right? Make it my own.
Absolutely. So you are here to talk to us about your book, which is delightful. If you just want to tell me a little bit about it. Obviously, I read it and thought it was great, but tell the people.
Yeah, the book is called Threads of Triumph, Professional Wrestling's Most Iconic Looks. The book is a coffee table book, and it's supposed to be a book for all kinds of fans, diehard fans, fans that are just getting into the industry, young fans that maybe want to become a professional wrestler. But it's my little love letter to professional wrestling. It blends the worlds of fashion and professional wrestling all in one, which is a conversation that's really never had. And in all of the features, we feature over 50 stars. You get really inside baseball conversations and stories that have never been told before, along with some biography text and some beautiful imagery to accompany the page. So it's been a labor of love, but getting the recognition and people also feeling like this was a book made for them, it warms my heart in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You're on a book tour right now, right? So you're meeting a lot of new people.
I am. Yeah, I had a signing today. I'm in Cleveland. TNA has Rebellion tomorrow night, so I'll be the ring announcer tomorrow night. I'm going to do a little meet and greet afterwards as well. And then we'll head to Syracuse. I don't even know what day it is. Sometime this week. And then I will go home, repack my bags, and then head to Las Vegas.
Great. Today is Friday, just so you know.
It's Friday.
I just saw Rebecca Black on Jeopardy YouTube edition, and she is, talk about fashion. She is rocking some crazy looks. I'm loving it.
I need to dive back in because I remember, did she have any other songs that were popular other than that one hit wonder?
She came back, I want to say, I don't know, 5 years ago as a weird electronic musician, I believe. I have not been following, but she was on Jeopardy, and she was wearing some giant shoulder pads and very 80s earrings. It was a look. It was great.
Well, after this interview, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole, and I'm going to be on social media looking up Rebecca Black. So
great.
I love it. So
yeah, we're here to educate here. Before we dive too deep into the book, though, I always love to ask guests, how did you get into professional wrestling? I'm always so curious. Were you a fan as a kid, or how did you get there?
I wasn't, actually. I was a broadcast journalist major at the University of Mississippi. I went to school at Ole Miss, Toddy. I was getting my degree there, but I also at the same time was the MC for Ole Miss athletics at the time. So I was the in-arena host for all the baseball, basketball, and football games. I also worked with Scout.com, so I was doing some interviews during their post-game press conferences, after some interviews, after some games, I should say. I would do those interviews with the head coach, etc. And when I was graduating, I had a conversation with my athletic director at the time, and he was like, well, McKenzie, what do you want to do after school? And I thought, I don't know. I want to move to Nashville, and I want to work in sports, entertainment, or music. It's a wide variety, but I want to land something in one of those areas. And he's like, what about professional wrestling? And I'm like, are you serious? Professional wrestling? I know nothing about professional wrestling. So I did all my homework. I went on YouTube, and I would do my own version of deep dives of Drew Galloway. Okay, he's a Scottish man that looks like this and hates this person. And I would go back and watch hours of matches to be able to connect those dots, and landed my job with TNA Wrestling. I was at TNA from 2016 through about 2019, then went to the WWE from 2019 through 2023, made my return to TNA Wrestling as the ring announcer in 2024. 25. So I took a year off. So I've been nearly 10 years in the industry. I should say, like, now I feel almost like I'm an expert in the industry, in the fashion side particularly, but it's taken a lot of time, and I'm really proud of the growth of starting from knowing absolutely nothing, having no business interviewing Jeff Hardy in a live Facebook interview, to where I am today. So I didn't grow up as a fan, but I definitely have grown to love the industry, and it's changed my life for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's so most of especially the girl wrestling fans that I talked to didn't grow up with it because it wasn't really like marketed to us when we were kids at all. It was very, very for boys, very like it was the crotch chop and all of that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. But I think that obviously the divas, like a lot of girls, I think a lot of my era, I should say, I'm 32, we would go back and watch Total Divas. Like that was kind of the era that got everyone into wrestling. It was like, ooh, like what's Natty doing? Or what's Carmella doing? Like we loved even the Bellas. Like that was kind of that flip for a lot of our generation. I think some people like the Roxanne Perez and the Elena Blacks, like they grew up wrestling fans. They grew up AJ Lee fans. We know that. We've seen the pictures and we know that story. But I think for a lot of us, it was like, ooh, what are these girls doing on television? They're these celebrity figures, and they're so empowering and they're so strong, and they're having fun, and it's like camaraderie backstage as well. So I agree. But I think that the Total Divas era for our generation kind of flipped that switch a little bit.
I'm so glad you brought up Total Divas because I am going to go on a rant about this every episode. It is not streaming anywhere.
I didn't know that.
It was on Peacock when WWE was on Peacock, and then when they made the move to Netflix, Total Divas did not follow, and I'm devastated because I did not watch it at the time. I was like watching on Peacock, and then they took it away from me. So
it's kind of one of those things like Sex and the City or Friends or whatever. Like it's just sometimes you want to turn things on for background noise or to even dive in deeper and be like, oh, I didn't connect those story bits until today, and this makes sense why this is here. So I agree. Maybe we should put up a poll or tweet out to everyone like, we need Total Divas back somewhere. Where can we find it?
Yeah, we'll start a hashtag for people to ask for Total Divas. So yeah, let's talk about the book a little bit. I really liked the way that you talked about Mae Young and how she made just wearing like a simple leotard timeless.
Yep.
And I'm sort of thinking about the dichotomy of professional wrestling that fashion really embodies in a way. Like you want to be timeless, but at the same time, you know, wrestlers, especially girl wrestlers, but also some boy wrestlers, like really follow fashion trends. Like, how do you think the best wrestlers are able to like find that balance between timeless and trendy?
Sure. I think this is interesting because I got asked this one time in an interview, and it made me continue to think and ponder on this idea. Is it easier to have a consistent look week in and week out that is the same color schemes? If you think and you go back, like Mae Young, her iconic one piece, her leotard is all red. Red was Mae Young's color. It was something that, like the crown and the leotard and the boots, like red was, she just dripped in everything red, and it in a way almost symbolizes royalty, and like she created this timeless piece. And then you look at Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan had the red and yellow, very simple. It was like very primary colors. Then you go to the Hart Legacy, and it's the pinks and the blacks. Today, you've got Joe Hendry wearing like a royal blue and white. So is it harder to create a consistent color pattern, color scheme look that you're having to show up in on a weekly basis to get those fans behind you? Or is it harder to evolve on a weekly basis of wearing and bringing something new to the table week in, week out? I think that that's a big question mark. And I think it's personal opinion and how fans or anyone perceives it, whether you're a wrestler, whoever you are, whatever path that is for you. I think in the way of creating your own individuality as a star, as a professional wrestler, that's the beautiful part about your character, who you are, what story you're telling. You're able to elaborate on those details. And the smart ones go into depth, they go into the details, and they have those hidden messages. Or maybe they evolve their characters from early days into a completely new character, babyface, heel, etc. But they're able to find those threads, if you will, that connect the dots. So I think there's a lot to be said and ponder on in that full conversation of consistency versus evolving. But I think we all think about wrestling in a way of, we all have a favorite match, we all have a favorite moment. A lot of the times you don't remember every single move that happened in the ring in that match. You most of the time remember what that person was wearing and how that entrance made you feel.
Totally. I mean, I think one of the things that I love about watching wrestling is you notice like how everything works together for the storytelling. Like every little detail is an opportunity for storytelling, and obviously fashion is a big part of that.
Right.
And yeah, I think even the storytelling is in like, do you change or do you stay the same? Like the Hart legacy being very like very deep and steady, and that being like a part of those characters. Legacy. Exactly. Which is even able to be evolved, right? Like Natalia's doing Natty now, which is like a totally different persona, but still part of the Hart legacy in a way it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think with Natty too, she takes bits and pieces of her dad and Brett and Owen, and like she's able to carry on that legacy and that timeline of her family and the lineage and what they've done in professional wrestling. In the book, one question I loved that I asked Natty, and I loved her response, I should say, is I said, if you were to put a look together that was like a Hall of Fame look for the Harts, overall, period, point blank, the Harts, what does that look like? And she said it would be a really nice black tailored like tuxedo with a pink little bow tie and have some satin shoes, and have maybe some velvet pops of like hot pink. Like there was a really unique way in the way she spun her answer, because it just made, I was like, yep, there's Jim. Boom, check mark. Oh, there's Owen. Yep, we've got the sunglasses. Cool. Okay, and then there's Owen. Check mark. Like we go back and there's Stu, check mark. Here's Natalia, here's TJ. So she was able to incorporate all of that together. And I think that that's such a really cool thought to put together of the legacy of their family and where they come from and where they are today, and how she's still riding and walking that path of the Harts in which they carved in wrestling.
Totally. I think Natty's just like thinking about those details so much. Like I think that's why she's been so like constant throughout the years, is she is so like thinking about every little detail. Does she work with a stylist? I assume so.
No, I think Natty does everything pretty much on her own.
Wow.
She is a big part of why I did this book to begin with. So I've told this story, but she and I sat down, we did Threads with McKenzie Mitchell, which was my podcast version of the book. And once we had the conversation, we dove into our closet. We started pulling out some pieces. We talked about the pink and the black and the family legacy. And she's like, McKenzie, you need to write a book. And I'm like, so how, where, why would I, like, why? Give me the thought process. And she's like, the way we had this conversation, it was so fluid, and there were so many things and pieces of conversation that I've never had before. Just, I think you should do it. I think it'd be a really cool project. So I wrote a 30-page book proposal, got a literary agent. We pitched it to publishers. I got 4 offers in 2 weeks, and Threads of Triumph, Professional Wrestling's Most Iconic Looks was born. So I give a lot of credit to Natty for at least just inspiring me to get to the point of wanting to write a book. I tweeted about it today as well. I leaned in on Becky Lynch and her advice. She obviously has a New York Times best-selling book, so she's pretty much an expert when it comes to like understanding how to connect to an audience, number one, and number two, how to write a book. So she helps me in terms of how to get a publisher, the whole process of editing and the behind the scenes that goes into it, of the grind. Like you could edit a book forever. I swear, like I'm almost a perfectionist at times, but I'm like, you could just edit and edit again. And what about this? Or what about this? So Both of those women, I'm so thankful to have them in my corner, Natty and Becky Lynch, because I don't know if I would have gotten to the point of even creating the book if it wasn't for those two.
Yeah, I've got both of their books back on my shelf back there. I loved both of them. Becky is someone who I think what she's doing with her clothes right now is so cool. Like the way that she sort of evolved from that awful, and she says it's awful. That is not just me saying that it's awful. Like her like, you know, Irish step dancing debut, to now like being this like badass flamboyant thing is so cool. A dream guest for me on this podcast is the stylist that I'm pretty sure Becky and Seth both share a stylist. I would love to talk to him. I think what he's doing is fabulous.
Yeah, a lot of his work, we've worked together. So many people know that I've created Seth's necklace. So his iconic piece that he has that has just the big SR, that was something that we worked together on hand in hand. Gosh, starting in February of 2024, he had already worn my drippin' necklace that I have that's actually made onto Trick Williams' action figure, which is a pretty cool fun fact. And Seth was wearing my necklace and I was like, can I just make you something custom? Like, I would love to make you something custom. I have a jewelry business. I've been doing it for now 4 years. My family's 75 years in the fine jewelry industry. And he's like, McKenzie, whatever you make me, I trust you. I will wear it. I'm like, okay, great. So I sent some really creative out of the box ideas that didn't necessarily make the cut. The one that did was the standard SR. And then we started with one variation and then we turned it into another variation and it was silver and then it was a long silver and then it was matte black. And so that piece has became part of his identity. And that was all in part of working with King Troy too, and him styling Seth in these crazy outfits and then it accompanying the necklace, accompanying those looks. So just seamlessly it felt, because Seth even told my husband backstage, he's like, it helped create my identity of who I was and what I was wanting to get over in that character. So I'm very thankful for King Troy and him giving Seth the confidence to wear these outlandish outfits. Same for Becky, to giving them like, let's step out of the box a little bit and just see what we can do. And then being able to work together with them to put the piece together for Seth. It's just been a dream.
That's really cool. I've always wondered how, like, there's a stylist and a designer and a fabricator, like how that whole engine works, especially when you have something that is like every week there's a show.
Yeah. And honestly, like when you're on the road 52 weeks out of the year, the schedule is so grueling in WWE, in any company, really. AEW, WWE, TNA, we're blessed because we're not as on the road as much, but it's a routine. Where am I? You show up, you do the show. What am I wearing? You go home, you see your family, you try to clock out. You're back on the road, especially if you're working a Monday Night Raw and a Friday Night SmackDown and a pay-per-view. WrestleMania season is even crazier because you were just on the go nonstop. So having someone coordinate those looks for you and putting those pieces together, or at least working hand in hand with you to say, what's the goal? What are we looking for? What's our style vision? What's our mood board here? What are we creating for WrestleMania that is going to be a great, grand look for the grandest stage of them all? So I think there is a need for styling in professional wrestling if you want to look like that larger than life superstar, if you want to look like $1 million on every television show. I think that Becky and Seth leaning into King Troy has been such a smart play in their book.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think it was in talking about Randy Savage, that he really understood, like, you got to spend money to make money. Like, he invested the resources that not everyone has into like having this really larger than life look that was obviously very successful for him and paid dividends.
Yeah, and Randy was spending a pretty penny to make that happen. Randy as the story and the legend, like how it goes, is Randy wasn't necessarily, he didn't have the eye for fashion. Michael Braun is the one that put everything together. So I've had the honor to be able to get pretty close to Michael Braun. Michael Braun connected me to Lynn Poffo, which is Randy's widow, and Jason Mullen that still runs the estate. So we went back and forth several times, and getting to explore Randy's closet and use some of those pieces for my author's photo shoot was it was a full surreal moment. But Michael Braun was putting together these works of art for Randy. And he always said what he wanted to do and wanted to make sure was that he was, whatever Randy was wearing, he was popping off the screen. He wanted to look at the commercials. He wanted to watch the commercials. He wanted to see what everybody else would be wearing, and he wanted to compare that. So with Randy was a step above, and he was a step ahead, should I say. So it was very intentional. And I think Randy just was getting like a package and was like, yep, this is what I'm wearing today. This is how I'm showing up in it. And he was going out there doing his thing, being Randy Savage in the way he was best. But a big part of that was Michael Braun curating these pieces that really created the Macho Man Randy Savage that we know today.
Yeah, there was one, I wrote it down because there was just, that's just a wonderful sentence. Randy Savage used sequins in ways you wouldn't expect. What
it's true.
Sentence. And he was doing the sequined cowboy hats before anyone.
Yes. I mean, anything that Randy had on glittered, whether it was sequins or fringe or rhinestones. And Braun talks about how he was going to women's fabric stores and picking up yards and yards of fabric. A lot of the time I was like, what was the fabric for in the women's store? And he was like, a lot of it was for bathing suits. But I was the only man in this fabric store, and I was just sifting through yards of fabric to find the perfect one. And then we would turn it into a jacket, or it would be his tights or his trunks or whatever it was. So there was a lot of time and effort that went into Randy's gear. And now looking back, Randy passed in 2001, but the legacy that he cemented as Macho Man Randy Savage, it still absolutely lives on today.
Oh, totally. I think it was Michael Braun that that was working for Jimi Hendrix as well.
Yep.
Did I read
he was
that?
also working for Jimi Hendrix. So he tells a lot of stories. How I connected to Braun as well was, if you have the time, you should watch he has a small little documentary on Amazon Prime where he goes in and he talks a lot about his time with Randy, but he mentions Jimmy and some of the stories with Jimmy as well. So I bought the Amazon Prime. I rented it, I should say. I bought the documentary. I dove in deep. It was only like an hour and a half. Started listening and taking notes. And then I messaged him on Facebook. And it took him about 3 months to get back to me, and gave him my phone number when I sent the original message. Michael gave me a phone call and he's like, hey, girl, you don't know who this is, do you? And I'm like, I don't. And he's like, this is Michael Braun. You sent me a message on Facebook. I'd love to chat with you about Randy's gear. Let's get into it. So I'm like, okay. So then my husband and I went to Clearwater area and sat down with Michael Braun for about 2.5 hours and got to see original pieces. There's a picture that lives on my Instagram. I'm wearing an original, authentic bandana of Randy Savage's, some glasses that were broken. And so Randy didn't want to wear them, and he gave them back to Braun at the time. So that's something he still kept and held on to. But seeing original fabrics, and Braun didn't necessarily use patterns. A lot of seamstresses and seamsters, they use patterns to create these moments, these pieces, these tights, whatever it may be. Braun was like, I knew the sizing, and I would just lay down fabric and start cutting, and it would come out the way that it was. So he's very, very talented, and working with the likes of Jimi Hendrix and Randy Savage says that enough.
Totally. I mean, I never put it together before, but yeah, designing for being on stage is a very specific skill set that it makes sense that people who have that skill set would be doing a lot of different things. I know I've seen people who wear things in the ring that are like by people who mostly do stuff for drag artists, which is so funny because it's the same art form essentially.
Yeah, and you know, like that kind of goes the same with my jewelry company. When I'm designing pieces, I I want to make sure that whoever I'm working with understands that we want to make them a smidge bigger, because even though you may think a 1-inch by 1-inch pendant is going to show up on camera, it doesn't. It blends in with everything else going on. So making these loud statement pieces are important because you want them to pop off the screen. You want them to also tell your story. That's why you're choosing to wear that, whether it's a jacket or it's pants or shoes or a necklace. Those pieces are designed to be statement pieces for a reason.
Totally. Subtlety has no place in the ring.
Not at all.
I would love to keep chatting all day, but I want to make sure we have time for our game.
Okay.
I don't have a name for this game, but essentially I am going to show you a picture of a wrestler's gear. It's Girl Wrestling Podcast. These are all girl wrestlers. So
Okay.
There's a hint for you. So it's going to be really close up. A lot of them are really blurry, and you're going to tell me who you think.
Who I think they are.
Yeah,
Love it. Let's try it.
The first one is kind of a gimme, even though
Okay.
it's very, very blurry. Ease you into it.
Naomi.
Of course.
Yes. Love it.
I am obsessed with the way that, talk about making something that is not subtle and is able to be a thread. That caution gimmick is so fun.
Oh yeah. Again, that's just added another layer to her character. Whether she was going on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and just going on a rant, or having this mood swing in the middle of a promo, like the added caution tape told that story. It told that further story about who she was, and what she was trying to go for in that moment in her career.
Yeah, and just like every little thing being a piece of storytelling that she can just stamp.
Exactly.
Okay, next one we have. This one's a little tougher, but there is kind of a big giveaway.
Well, it's the fishnets, the pink and the black. I don't know. Are they NXT?
No.
I don't know. We'll go Natalia because it's pink and black.
Yep, this was
Woo!
her.
Yes.
I guess technically I lied to you. It was NXT at the time.
Okay.
So this was her NXT takeover versus Charlotte, I believe.
Hey, but yeah, NXT, WWE, Natalia's the boat. So she's across the board. She's multi-level.
Absolutely. All right, here we go. Oh, this one's a recent one.
Charlotte Flair.
Yep.
Ding, ding, ding. I'm great at this game.
Yeah, this was her.
I loved this. I thought that this was such a fun way to bring awareness to a cause in a way. I always say that fashion can speak louder than words, and it's true. Like, it's so true that what you're wearing sometimes, excuse me, what you're wearing sometimes, you don't even have to open your mouth. It says all that you need to say. And so I really love that she did this moment, and I thought it was beautifully done. And plus, like, we're in this whole moment of like what's old is new again. The 90s are making a big comeback, the early 2000s, the Y2K. So I thought that this was very on point with where we are today in fashion.
How do you feel about her sort of current direction of her look? She's pulling some bold looks these days.
You know what? I just saw her in the bathroom at SiriusXM. I walked in and I'm like, Charlotte? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, girl, you are showing up and showing out on social media. I am loving what she's doing right now. I think she also understands, a lot like the Seth and the Beckys of the world, you need to be a star, you need to look like a star. And she is certainly elevating herself on social media, on Raw, on SmackDown, on any pay-per-view. Like, the stop she's pulling out. She's working with Brian Valentine. I've never had the opportunity to meet Brian, but they're doing phenomenal work together.
Yeah, I was originally not sure how I felt about some of her looks. They were very out there. And then I saw a lot of men really hating them, and that made me really like them a lot.
Yeah, because you know what? Like, I feel like every female that's listening to this, or any female at some point has had a male almost question what you're wearing. I had an experience where I was at an NXT show and I was wearing this like really, it was December. So I thought it's Christmas time. It was like an all tulle dress. And I had some of the crew like make fun of me and ask me like, well, what are you trying to be, a present? And I'm like, stay in your lane, right? Like if I guess like any comment is a comment that like you're obviously stealing someone's attention, like you're stealing the attention. So, but at the same time, I'm like, y'all, these men have no idea what they're talking about. They should just stay in their own sports lane. Like stay talking about the moves. Don't talk about the fashion.
Do you have, when you're doing like ring announcing and backstage interviews, how do you think about what you're wearing? Do you have guidelines? Do you have to get that approved?
I don't actually. I think I've kind of carved out my own path of what McKenzie wears. I like to be experimental. I like to wear different things. I like to reimagine a look. I take a lot of pieces from what I wore on NXT and then redo them in different ways. I will take belts and then add jewelry to the belts so it looks like a completely different outfit. I also always say when I'm working with people or I'm styling people or I'm making jewelry for someone, I always ask what their celebrity influences are that are outside of professional wrestling. For me, my two are Dua Lipa and Casey Musgraves. So I like to sit somewhere between this like cowboy chic pop star look. I do have a little country that's still in me. I love Nashville. I love like giving a Western flair to things. But somebody said to me the other day when I showed up to an event, they were like, yep, this is definitely McKenzie coded. So I was like, I've definitely started something. Like people kind of know where I'm going to stand in my looks when I show up on TV.
It was actually at a Casey Musgraves concert that I had. Well, it was Austin City Limits. I was seeing Casey Musgraves, and I had a man who was working the merch booth or whatever give what he thought to me was a compliment of like commenting on that I wasn't wearing like a short skirt like all the other girls here. And I was like, sir, you are barking up the wrong tree here. I am never going to appreciate shaming what other women are wearing. Are you kidding me?
That's it. Like we all have an experience of some man out there just deciding that he has to give input on what you're wearing. And I don't know why. So maybe don't. If you're a man listening to this, just don't. Just give them a compliment. Just tell them they look beautiful at the end of the day. Like that's just, thank you so much. I appreciate the note, but like not needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not for you.
Exactly.
Okay. Next one. Oh, that one's tough. That one's really tough, but the blood might be a hint.
I think I'm going to get this one wrong. Tiffy? Are we going Tiffany?
This is AEW.
I don't know. You're going to have to give it to me.
All good. This is Timeless Toni Storm.
Now, if it was white, I would have been like, boom, done, got it, understood. Toni Storm doesn't get enough credit for this like Hollywood gimmick that she's doing. It is so different. It is so chef's kiss that there is nothing else out there like it. She does not get enough credit, and I feel like is very undervalued and underconsidered. And all of the work that she's done to get to this character, I admire everything that she's done in Timeless Toni Storm.
It is too bad that Anne's not here because she is probably the biggest Toni Storm fan in the entire world. But yeah, her making everything black and white when she cuts a promo is just so one of those things that it's like, I didn't know there was new stuff to do. Yep. And then you think of it and it's amazing.
Yep. I'm with you.
All right. Next we have, this is, I believe this was pulled directly from your book, or maybe not directly, but inspired by.
Okay.
This person is in your book.
Are we going Medusa?
It's Medusa.
Yes. Do you know what Medusa stands for?
I learned that it stands for Made in the USA.
Yes, absolutely. I love her. Alundra Blaze, Medusa, whatever you want to call her. I love her. She's such a trailblazer in this industry. And she's done so much. Interestingly, I got a few comments on when she dropped the title in WCW when all of that moment happened. And I'm like, is there a photo that exists of that moment? And there's not. Like, there's only screen captures of the TV. So I wanted to put a picture in there to talk about that moment, because I said to her, I think I asked her the question, did you know going into that night that moment, like, did you dress for the occasion? She was like, absolutely not. I had no idea that it would turn into that big of a deal. So I wanted to go back and find a photo of that to reference in the book, but there is no clear photo out there, just so you know.
What a bummer. I mean, that's iconic. And her hair during that segment is like
everything.
Just like a gallon of hairspray. It's
exactly
amazing.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. That is part of an eye too.
That's not Rhea.
No, but this is a big inspiration for Rhea.
Beth Phoenix? Chyna.
It's Chyna. Yes.
Hey, there we go.
WrestleMania 17. That one's
the purple threw me off because I was like, oh, Chyna always wore such like black, deep, like leather outfits.
Yeah, that was a tricky one, but this, her WrestleMania appearance where they were trying to make her a little more girly, which is just not who she is.
Right.
Which is so, I mean, I think she's such a great example of really like being true to yourself is so hard a lot of the time. And especially in her time in the industry. Our first episode is about Chyna. So I've been thinking a lot about her lately.
Yeah, I think Chyna really added to so much of what we know of DX. Sean talked about it, X-Pac talked about it, and how much that Chyna really, it was the stoic one in the group. Like they were all like fools at the time, just doing whatever, trying to get any reaction. And they were like, there was one time that Chyna, I think it was Billy Gunn that actually told me this. Chyna actually popped us and we were like, oh, she's in on it. Like, I think she mooned the audience, or there was some moment that she went along with the bit and they were like, okay, she's in on it. And they finally felt like they had broken that wall a little bit with her. So I love some of what Chyna did and what she created for the women's division for the future.
Totally. I mean, what a big inspiration, like I said, on Rhea Ripley, like
yep.
the biggest superstar of all time right now. Honestly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love Rhea. I've seen the evolution of Rhea from the very beginning days to where we are today. And we all know her story of self-love and self-admiration, having the courage to step out on your own. And I think that Rhea is such a great example, not just for women out there, but in general, of just kind of having the courage to do it your way and say like, nope, this is what it's going to be. And this is who I am. So I love Rhea. And I'm so glad that she's getting the flowers that she deserves, because she is such a star. Like, she just is a star.
She just is. I say this all the time, but like, people in my life who do not care about wrestling at all, like, know who Rhea Ripley is. And if they are a queer woman, they are in love with her.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Rhea. Has to be Rhea.
Yes. I thought that was
Ripley.
Yeah, this is her Raw debut, which is so cool. I mean, like, we were talking about evolution. Like, this is her, just, a variation on the theme.
Yeah. Rhea has had as we talked about, the evolution of the long blonde hair to the short pixie cut, which I think you're seeing here, to dyeing her hair darker, to experimenting even with some color, with like the deep, dark gothic look. And and now just like leaning into who she is. She admittedly talks about in the book how much working with Judgment Day helped her break out of her shell and really just lean into her own skin. And she talks about as well, she doesn't love to talk in front of the camera and be a public speaker. That's just not really her jam. I remember even doing Facebook Lives with her, and she was like, I'm so nervous. I'm like, you're nervous. I'm interviewing you and Triple H for these 30 minutes and 30-minute Facebook Live. I'm having to like be keep the train on the track. But like seeing where she started and where she is now, it's just so inspiring. And I'm so excited for her. And she's got so much left in her future, so much more gas left in the tank, I should say.
Totally. Okay. Next we have. This one's also AEW.
Is it Mercedes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. The hair kind of gave it away. I was like,
yep.
I think I'm seeing a green or a blue piece of hair in there with the bejewels. Yes, of course.
Yes.
It's Renee.
Yes, this is Forbidden Door. She wins 2 belts. She wrote the foreword for your book.
Did. Absolutely, yeah. Having Mercedes be a big part of the book was just such an honor to begin with. Mercedes has, when we talk about evolution, and someone that's evolved themselves over time, from Sasha Banks to even early NXT days to her main roster moments, WrestleMania moments against Bianca. It's one of my favorite looks of hers, to now being at AEW, breaking down doors, breaking those barriers, going to Japan, pulling out these crazy anime looks, anime inspired looks, I should say. And so her being a part of the forward was really special to me. And I'm very thankful that she's taken the time to be part of it.
Yeah, she really seems like someone who has as much as her persona is like, I'm the boss, I'm better than you, she really seems like someone who lifts other people up as part of her.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a lot of the women's locker room. I think we all see each other so many days per month or per year. And so we become a family. You lean in on your locker room like sisters, truly. Like before some TNA shows and stuff, like I just was talking about this the other day. I had a show that I wore just a white tank top, I should say, in Atlanta. And I took some photos, posted the photo on Instagram. I'm about to walk out to make my entrance to begin the show. Boom, zipper breaks open. My back is completely open. I look at Gia and I'm like, help, I need help. So we go to the locker room and she's like using safety pins just to create, like to connect the back of my shirt because I didn't have anything else at the time. But like we all do that. You just do that for each other in the locker room. You become like family. You truly do. You travel on the road together. You see each other so many times per year. You're at the same hotels. You know the same people. So I think a lot of that goes to the women in the locker room, that we all are there for each other, or try to be at least.
I mostly know Sasha Banks as my good friend was in love with her when in like 2014, I think. So to now be following her as Mercedes Renee is really funny to be like, oh, I know you.
Yep.
Okay. This is probably one of the hardest ones.
Is it? It's not Bianca, because it kind of looks like lips. Is it Asuka?
Yes, it is Asuka. That is a mask.
Wow. I'm good at this game. I love this game.
That was really impressive. That is her WrestleMania 36 match.
Yeah, Asuka, she was someone I really considered putting in the book. And if I have a volume 2 that comes out, Asuka will be first on the list. It was so hard. And people said, how did you decide who was going to be in the book and who wasn't? I should say it's all my personal opinion. It's people that I thought are really creating looks or have created looks that created this path for other generations to come. I think that Asuka definitely has done so much. She comes up with such funky attire, and there's so many colors and so many vibrant patterns. And the mask alone, like we could do a whole chapter on masks. So yes, I love Asuka. I love what she brings to the table, and she continues to find new ways to surprise us on a weekly basis.
Yeah, the masks are such an interesting avenue for creativity, I think. Like I don't have any luchadors on this list because I can't think of a lot of female luchadors that wear masks, but I think just like having that extra thing for creativity is kind of an asset that
But I should also say, I think sometimes wrestlers get caught up in the fact of, oh, I need a mask and I need a hat and I need glasses and a jacket and sunglasses, like glasses, and then I need to come out with a bat and I need to wear these shoes. Like I think that there sometimes we need to find limits of what those things, like what is your thing? Like what is your thing? Make it your thing. And of course it's like, you don't want to replicate everything that's been done before because we've seen it. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But I think sometimes people try to do too much and you're like, no, you don't need all these things. Like tell your story, but maybe find one or two things that help you tell your story, and that's all you need. So yes, masks can be an asset, but all these extra things, maybe find 1 to 2 and keep it there.
Oh yeah, I mean, people can definitely you give enough rope to hang yourself is the expression. I think that's why I always say I preferred Vine to TikTok is the 6 seconds forces you to be a little more creative.
Yeah.
That's a really great point. I think Asuka is really, really good at that balance because like this is a WrestleMania look, obviously. She's not wearing these huge, elaborate gimmicks week to week. Mm-hmm. She's doing cool stuff, but she saves the big moments for the big moments.
That's right.
All right. I believe this is our last one. This is not fair. This is just a piece of white fabric, but maybe you can get it.
WWE or AEW?
This is, I believe this would be WWF.
Sherry Martel.
No, it is Miss Elizabeth. This is the wedding. Sense. Yeah.
Of course, the iconic wedding dress.
Yes.
So yes. Total sense.
Yes. Miss Elizabeth is in your book as someone who, it's interesting, the idea that wearing normal-ish clothes is revolutionary, but like she is being more subtle in a way that is telling a story.
Yeah, I think Miss Elizabeth really, her story was she was elegance and she was grace and she was a timeless icon. So she wasn't meant to wear a teeny tiny strapped bikini. She wasn't meant to show her midriff all the time. She was meant to stand by and be this poised, beautiful character. And that's what she did best, is she accompanied people that whenever, whether it was, Randy or whether it was, like whoever she was with, she was coming out and giving her beautiful wave and her smile. And it just added more to that person's character. So I think that talking about what she's done, yeah, she intentionally wore these beautiful gowns or these, look, like this has lace and it's got tulle on the bottom, and she did her hair in like this big 80s style. Like she was the epitome of beauty and grace.
And some really fabulous jewelry.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you did very well on our game. I was not keeping score because who cares? But that was really fun. Thank you so much for playing.
Thank you.
So before I let you go, can you tell listeners where to find you, where to find the book?
Yeah, I'm on socials at McKenzie Mitchell on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. Threads of Triumph, Professional Wrestling's Most Iconic Looks is available everywhere now. Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. Some of your favorite retailers may have it as well. And officially hit the shelves on April 7th, but you can go and purchase it wherever you buy your books. And yes, I'm very thankful for this journey. It's been a labor of love. So to see it all come to fruition has been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous. I only got to read a PDF, so I'm going to go to my bookstore and see if I can find it to look through the physical copy, because it's such a lovely coffee table book.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us on Girl Wrestling Podcast. We will see you later.